everyone. Welcome to the JPaul Hernandez podcast. And today I have a very special guest. Of course, all my guests are special, but I've noticed because our content is for entrepreneurs, small business owners, and of course, aspiring entrepreneurs. We've noticed that business problems are not only always just about sales and marketing and stuff like that. So I've realized, hey, what if I get professionals from the multinational companies who are experts in helping people improve, grow, and all of those things? So what if we get them and help you guys to just perform better? So with that being said, I'm so grateful that country HR heads. So country HR heads, some of the they earn more than most entrepreneurs. So so just because entrepreneurs, you're an entrepreneur, doesn't mean you're the most successful people. But I have met really corporate executives who have helped me grow. Without my corporate mentors, I don't think I will be in the business trajectory I'm in right now. So with that being said, my guest today is a country HR manager of a multinational company. Let me introduce to you Miss Fabi Carino. Hi, Fabi.
Hi, hold on. Let me just start my video. Hello, good evening to everyone, or good morning if you will be watching this on recorded. And I'm so happy to be here. I'm really excited to share my insight with this topic, JP, and thank you for inviting me here.
Thank you. So, for everyone, I saw a post of Fabi on LinkedIn. We were co-speakers in Philippine HR Congress, I think last year, 2019. And then when I saw her post on LinkedIn about she gave a talk on how to extinguish burnout, I said I need to get her on the podcast because I myself sometimes am feeling burned out. So with that being said, Fabi, can I ask you the first question? What is burnout and how do you figure out that you're burning out?
Yeah. Okay, that's really an interesting topic, especially given the pandemic. Even prior to pandemic, burnout is a symptom, it's a syndrome that a lot of people would feel. And there are different kinds of burnout. There's work burnout, there's relationship burnout, there's travel burnout. And I think that let me just explain how burnout happens, specifically when it comes to work, because I think that's the most common.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to recommend anything about relationship burnout. I'm not a relationship expert, and I wouldn't want people to get through, have any ideas about that. They should see a marriage counselor for that matter, right? But I want to talk about why burnout happens and how it happens. So imagine that there is three faucets rather, that everything that we do, the capacity that we do things is in a bathtub. So to fill in the bathtub, there are three faucets. One faucet is self-care,
Hmm.
one faucet is support, one faucet is results. So let me just go through briefly what are these three faucets. These three faucets are your source of your water for the basin, which when you are needed to do some job, you're needed to do some work. If you're an entrepreneur, and let's say you're in the business of cosmetics or you're in the business of cooking, nowadays it's so uso ngayon, and people can get burnout because these three faucets are the one that supplies your ability to fill in that basin or capacity to do things. Now, at the bottom of the basin, there's a drainage. And that is what we call the expectations. So when your expectations has higher, the drainage is higher and you have less water to flow into that drainage, then you will really be burnt out and that drainage or that bathtub will be dried up. So what I'm saying is there's three areas of where we get our energy from when we do things. Particularly self-care, simple things like how do we take care of ourselves, like sleeping well, eating well, those kind of things. So next is support. When people are able to when people or how are we able to get support from our bosses, from our family?
Mm.
right? And then next is, the how are we able to view results? Because sometimes if you have, there are some kind of people or personality profile, JP, who's prone to burnout. If you're a
Mm.
perfectionist, I hope you're not.
I'm
Are
not
you,
at
JP? No,
all.
you're not. I'm more prone to that, so I know how it is. So I'm speaking also from experience because I like doing things in a certain manner,
Yeah.
but I'm not OC. So I have very high expectations of myself. And when you
Okay.
are in that kind of level of high expectations, you're not always happy about your results.
Hmm.
So when you keep doing things, you keep flowing things, and you're trying to fill in the faucet from below, the drainage from below of expectations, what happens is when you are expecting results and it's not the results of that you wanted, and you keep pushing and pushing, but in the end you don't get that expected results, then you get burnout. So that's how
Wow.
burnout happens in a nutshell. When you are not able to fill in that personal capacity or the way we do things, then you're not able to fill in that bathtub well. So what happens is that gets drained.
That's okay. Fabi, I'm just like, I love how you're explaining this, and it's just making me think. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just my mind wandering actually. So is this related to, because since we were kids, we were classically conditioned to, you do this assignment, you get this. You do this, you get this. So from grade school to high school, even during early days in our job, if you do one activity or task, this is the correlated answer or result. Is it related to that or somewhat?
I guess it's a separate entity that contributes to burnout because
Hmm.
our society expects us, or we are all programmed to be successful in the things that we do. Our society expects our children to go to school, to graduate high school, to graduate with a degree, and then the poor man, rich man mentality goes like when you finish college, you will have a better life. So,
Ooh.
that's a typical programming that we have. And
Yes.
I think burnout can be a big contributor to the different generations that we have nowadays, because the different generations like the X generation, the millennials, the baby boomers have different ways of working, have different ways of saying that they're burned out. Notice that our baby boomers, you never hear the term burned out. Nauso lang yan actually when sa X generation, when this generation, I belong to the generation when you work so hard because you want to be able to get the fruits of your labor. So
Yeah.
then you just keep on working because we don't like, probably we've seen our parents go through hard work but they don't get so much, right? So
Yeah.
we try to rectify that. We try to not follow that path, and we say, we're gonna do this part because I don't like what I saw with my parents. So
Mm.
it's really something that I think that society has pegged in terms of how we're programmed to have. You're supposed to be married at this certain age, you're supposed to have this much when you are a certain age. These
That's
are
right.
the
That's right.
kinds of programming. And individually, some people are rebels, some people are, this is what they follow their dream, they follow their path. Some people, they are programmed and they follow whatever society dictates to them. And I think if you're expecting the results, again, based from the faucet, the bathtub model, when you're expecting so much and people expect so much from you, then you're not able to fill that up. Then
Yeah.
definitely even a child can feel burnt out because of high expectations.
That's right. And I think, as I've been researching a lot during this pandemic, and that's right. We have high expectations of everyone. Like, just for
That's
example,
right.
I have a kid, and I was reading. So I was reading the expectations for him at 3 years old. Like, what? This is crazy. I'm glad that he's actually keeping up in a sense. But then, wow, that's like a kid is already programmed to perform this much. And I was like in my head, isn't the kid supposed to enjoy?
Yeah, I think because of school has a different expectation,
Yeah.
teachers has different styles, and there's a authoritarian teaching way of doing things, and there are different kinds of learners. My background, I'm really a clinical psychology. That's my major in college, and that's why I'm so passionate about talking about mental health,
Yeah.
about this
Yeah.
thing, and what makes people tick. This has always been my passion, and
I love it.
I I I I think that, going back to your question, the learning ability of an individual sometimes does not fit to the teaching style of our teachers nowadays.
That's right. That's right. I was reading an article that, I mean, I have nothing against, well, a slight thing about traditional learning, because traditional learning was created during the Industrial Revolution, and it has the same educational system since then. And of course, I think not everyone's for progressive or at least homeschooling, but there should be change. And from there, I've been talking to parents. I don't know. Sometimes I give a talk in a company, then a parent comes to me, what do I do? How do I coach my son? Just because my children, they're all feeling burned out, and the parent feels burned out. And just my neighbors right now are feeling burned out because they have to work from home, they have to help their kid, and they have to buy laptops for all their kids. So what can you say about that?
Yeah, I think that the educational system has never changed. What happened was, all through these years since the industrial time, right? As I've mentioned, it has been the same.
Yeah.
When in fact, a lot of things have changed already. And I'm glad there are some schools, and I'm glad there are some teachers and philosophers out there who question now the way we do things, and that's a good thing, right? There are
I
some
love it.
schools who are now into blended learning.
Yeah.
And I would say that different strokes for different folks. You cannot put all children to analyze the same problem the same manner, right? Not everyone would want that, but there are some who would be more kinesthetic. There are some who are visual. There are some who are auditory. And I think we need to put a consideration when it comes to that. So, in fact, I've been always wanting to give a talk for teachers to say that we need to identify the learning classification of our students, rather than imposing our teaching style, because our teaching style sometimes doesn't fit snugly to how our children, or our this generation is learning.
I
And
love it.
right now we have all this technology around us. I'm sure people are burned out with Zoom, right?
Screen fatigue.
Correct. Screen fatigue. We're just in front, and we're not even standing up. Most of the time, for us in the corporate world, we have no time for that. And the students likewise. I believe that they also have 4 hours straight. I can't imagine that. My
Yeah.
son's in college now, so they have every other week e-learning. That's why, at least that's a good thing. That's quite flexible.
That's right. I don't know. Just before we move back to the topic, I don't know if you noticed. I've heard from a few expats, foreign expats to the Philippines, that they're so amazed and weirded out by Filipinos always eating, always having something to munch on, always standing, always going to the pantry, and they're like, "What's wrong with these Filipinos?" Have you noticed that? I don't know if you, or have
I'm
they?
guilty of that, JP. I'm guilty of stress eating. I think it doesn't matter what culture, but I think Filipinos in general, we love to eat when we're celebrating, when we're sad, when we're after drinking, before drinking. We have all these reasons. When there's a baptism, when there's
Yeah.
a somebody's death in the family, we have to make sure there's a caterer.
Yeah.
I know that. I think food, it becomes a outlet for some people.
Yeah.
An outlet for stress, an
Yeah.
outlet that we become, what we call this, we become fixated to put something in our mouth and chew something. just because we are anxious. So there are different ways when we use food, but primarily food is for nourishment, yes. But when we are eating, when we're not supposed to, just like my son caught me a while ago, eating this. Are you familiar with chocolate flakes from Baguio? Because I'm from Baguio and I have some of that.
Oh, I love
I
it.
was
I love
eating
it.
that while in a meeting, and he said, "Mom, you keep eating." See, so I know that, and I go, "Okay, yeah, I have to be reminded."
Yeah. Wow. Before I
Yeah.
ask my next question, I just want to honor you guys, HR people. I think HR people are not as recognized until COVID. I mean, yes, some companies they think, oh, we just need an HR for legalities, but now HR people are really rising to the top. Like, yep, if you don't have a good HR, your organization will crumble during this pandemic. So I just want to honor HR
Oh, thank you
practitioners.
so much. Yeah, kudos to all HR who's listening there. And if you guys have an HR in your firm, whether they're just staff or an executive, please give them a warm of applause or just thank them, because you just do not know that HR practitioners are the frontliners of your organization,
Yep.
from your ordering of your office supplies until termination, until strategically planning how to keep your people happy while
Yeah.
going through their own personal challenges. So we are also lucky that we have HR practitioners out there who are also equally resilient to ensure that your organizations are working, and these are the silent workers who were never given enough given enough credits, because usually it's the sales, it's the operations, but
Yep.
right
Yep. Yep.
now I'm
I feel
glad that
you.
there are a lot of talks. I've been invited to a lot of talks where we are honoring and we are training more HR nowadays.
That's wonderful. And I love it. I think it creates a better culture for the Philippines. Because just because, yes, numbers are good, but you have no numbers if you don't have good people.
That's
So
correct.
I think
Yeah.
our Filipino companies will just grow even more if we just take care of our people. So with that being said, Fabi, so ang ganda nun, the way na nalatag yung burnout, yung how some ideas on how to get there. Okay, so now maybe for those who are listening or watching, they realize, okay, I might be burned out. So how do I extinguish it?
Okay. I guess before even going to the how to extinguish, let me also share the symptoms of burnout.
Oh yeah,
How
please,
do
please,
you know
please.
if somebody is burned out? Because it's not enough that you hear somebody disgruntled about their work, because that's pretty common. You complain about your work, you complain about you could probably complain that you're not happy about your job. That's not enough, because that could be just a somebody who runs a professional ranter, but that person is not actually burned out. No. So what are some symptoms of burnout? The number one symptom of burnout is somebody losing hope, somebody who
Ooh.
is not anymore effective with their job. Okay? So when a person gets to that extent of no hope in what, it's a four letter and a simple word, but it is really, really essential when it comes to doing things, being more an effective individual, being an effective leader, being an effective entrepreneur, being an effective HR leader. If you don't have hope, when you lose hope and you feel that you're cynical, your level of cynicism is 1 to 10, it's 10, and you try to question, and you're not only complaining, but you don't want to do it anymore, then definitely this is what you call burnout. That's one symptom. So, one symptom is, I said, number one is you've lost hope. Number two, it's you're cynical about things anymore. You tend to question everything. And then another thing is you're no longer effective. There's no more output, because people expect you to do something, but the output is inefficient. The output is no more. And then, of course, that impacts more, and you get more burnt out because of the feedback that you get. So I think that's the symptom. Now, next question is, how are you able to manage burnout?
Mm.
First, I would say to to get into burnout, studies have will tell you that you can enter a job or you can enter into an initiative or a business or a project in 3 to 6 months, you can fall into burnout immediately. That's how fast it is when you are not able to manage the three areas of concern that I mentioned in
Ooh, I
six
love it.
months. Now, JP, what I would like to tell you, it takes 2 years or more to go back to that level of self-acceptance, of
Wow.
saying that I need to reverse this bad habit. Because I think that what contributes to burnout is your own choice of habits. Because no one will tell you to work until 12 midnight, right? No one, because everybody has this pressure on themselves to finish something, to look good, to get this raise or to get promotion or to get more
Yeah.
clients. I think everything's a choice.
Yeah.
As an employee, you should be able to push back. You should
I
know
love
when
it.
to say no.
I love
Don't
it.
say don't keep saying yes all the time. You have the power to say no. Okay?
Yes.
So I would like to divide this into two. As an employee, you need to focus on the three areas. First of all, you need to get support. You can't do things on your own. You need to learn how to delegate. Not
Mm.
everything is critical. Okay? When in the time management zone, when you say important and urgent, meaning that is a red zone. Okay? An example of a red zone is for example, there's fire. Okay? Of course, that's urgent, that's important. You need to get out of the house because there's fire. And if you're feeling that way, if you're doing things in that certain manner all every day of your life, you're rushing it, you need to finish it, it needs to be considered urgent and important. Just imagine what kind of life will you be leading if you're gonna do that for the next 6 months or 1 year.
That's
You're
very.
really going to have an impact physically and mentally,
That's
JP.
right. That's the your heart won't
Yeah.
be able to take it. Anyway, go ahead, please.
Yeah, that's why JP, do you hear of all these people? I've heard of this in my own industry because I'm in an advertising agency where it's cutthroat. We're in an industry of rejection. We need to pitch so that we could get the account. Then we need to show our best commercial pitches. Then we get rejected. Then it's really a lot of stress for my people. So I know what burnout is. I've seen this with my teams,
Yeah.
and I'm speaking and sharing this because I'm sure people can relate to us here when we say that people are always putting pressure on themselves to be able to deliver when in fact it is their choice to change and realize that their habits is not anymore essential. And what's worse, if a manager has this kind of working habit, they put the pressure. They're the ones who's getting all these expectations from their team to think and act the same way. So what happens
Yeah.
is we are the reason for the burnout of these employees because you have a demanding
Yeah.
micromanager boss,
It's really
right?
the leader
Diba?
who decides the culture. If your culture and organization is toxic, there's a higher, I guess, rate of burnout from your staff, from your people. Even your clients will be burned out with you.
Correct. Yeah. That's what I was also reminding our managers because you cannot give what you don't have. So you cannot be advising people how to manage their burnout if you yourself don't even show that you don't walk your talk because when you're working until 1 in the morning, you're sending emails and asking them to respond to you at that time. What kind of example are you leading? What kind of
Mm,
culture are you building? This is a job. This is not what defines our life. This is an important thing as part of our life, but it's not the only thing that we should also look into. So, if we really want to take care of our burnout, if anyone out there listening and watching us right now, if you have the symptoms of losing hope, you have the symptoms of being cynical, if you're no longer effective, then you need to stop and take and hover and decide what are the top things. So number one for me, I would say if you're an employee, not everything is worth doing, you need
Yes.
to classify that into what's urgent and important. For me, what's
Mm.
important is your relationship with your family. Yes, you may be working at home, but you're not spending time with your family. Then I need to question that, right? Because
Mm.
you holistically, you have to look into your goals holistically. You're not only looking at your career goals and financial goals. You need to look into the family goals, the relationship goals. So this is another tip of mine. Map out your goals holistically, because you cannot be a successful leader at the expense of your relationships and your
That's
family.
right. That's right.
Yes,
I
you may
love it.
have so much money in the world, but you could you could die of a heart attack in 2 weeks because of a very stressful job. When toxic is toxic, there is always, you should always limit yourself from a toxic environment. Think about where you are right now. Do you want to see yourself? Is this a sustainable kind of job? And as I've said, money is not the only thing that will make you happy. So I think you need to take a look at that when you're ask yourself, am I in a job that will be that's something that will be sustainable for me in the coming months? A lot of people have lost their jobs recently, right, JP? I guess you know that in this pandemic we have 18%. I was just reading last night because I'm trying to create an article about unemployment and how we could help as an HR practitioner, some outplacement programs out there. So I was saying that 18% have no jobs, and those people currently have jobs,
Mm.
um, really are stressed at this given pandemic, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
a lot of them are, the work of five people now is the work of one person, because in a department they had to let go of four people and one person will be left behind. That's
I,
that's the reality now.
I have a question with that. Somebody has been reaching out to me online. I don't know if it's Facebook or LinkedIn, and he's saying to me, sir, I want to resign. I said, why? I need your advice. And I said, sir, because I'm working. Half of my salary is gone, and I'm working from like 9 a.m. to 11 p.m.
11 p.m.
Half the salary. And I said, wow, I'm really sorry that's happening. Here's what I suggest. To Of course, if you can add another income stream, or
Yeah.
make sure you have a new job waiting for you, because it's just really hard right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really bad, So what's your advice for the person like that, whether you're entrepreneur, employee, parang overworked, underpaid? What is your advice, Fabi?
Um, wow. I have one honest answer to that. Okay, because I've encountered a lot of our employees and friends who would ask advice for that. So one is, um, if moving to another job, if you have moved previously to another job, and this was the same reason that you're complaining about, I don't think that the problem is the job, but the problem is yourself.
Yeah.
So even if you keep moving, I don't think you will solve the issue,
Mm,
because personally, you need to make an action plan that will focus more on your self care, that will
mm,
shield you more on the stress. And that in terms of perspective, I think nowadays we need to look at the silver lining all the time, of gratitude of what we have right now, and
that's
make the
right.
most of it. And think of other ways to add. To your point, we need to add what could be another, income stream for us to add. So my take on this, first you need to examine, is the problem the job or is the problem you? Because if you have the habit of keep moving from one company to the other, then moving out is not gonna help, because you will end up in the same cycle. So you need to look internally and fix that self first before making any decision. Because sometimes we tend to make decisions when we are at the lowest point of our life, or when we are angry, or when we are sad. Let's make decisions when we are stable. And how to do that? First, have you taken care of yourself? Second, have you spoken to someone
Mm,
about this? Like, I'm glad that this person is reaching out to you, but he needs to get more support, whether internally from his circle or from the company itself, because I think companies have limitations nowadays.
Yes.
Um, in as much as company would like to give, let's say, everything, a lot of companies have done furloughs, have done redundancies, have cut down. And as an HR practitioner, I know this. I have to do my job in slicing the workforce, in think of ways to keep them happy. And I can tell you that it is the harsh reality. And if you cannot accept that part, I think that, of course, everything's a choice. You can look elsewhere, but make sure you look first. Because on an average, I can tell you, as an HR practitioner for the longest time, I know how it is. It takes 6 months to 1 year to find a good job nowadays, given this very
That's
few
right.
options.
That's
Unless your
right.
position is really something like you're a nurse, I'm sure you can get a job by tomorrow. Yeah,
Yeah.
depending on the field. That's one thing that I would suggest. Assess yourself first if the problem is you, because most of these external factors around us should not affect us if we have that resilience. If we build
I
that
love it.
resilience, no matter how challenging your outside world is, you can still be able to manage. You will be able to cope with whatever you're facing.
So
I think
beautiful.
that's my advice.
Thank you so much. You really sound like a very, very capable human resource professional. Just because you sound like you really represent companies, like the executives, and still caring for those who are really stressed out, the employees, the staff, the manager, everyone else. Okay, one last question. This conversation has been so fast, but really, really, just I'm learning a lot. Fabi, in terms of, let's say, mental health management, one last question is that, okay, I was reading or I was watching a YouTube video of Dr. Fauci in the US. So Dr. Fauci was being asked, and sabi niya, when the question was, "Sir, when can we stop using face masks in the US?" So according to him, based on modest research or all of that, they're expecting in the US, not in the Philippines, in the US, December 2021, earliest time they can remove masks because that's the vaccine distributed properly. So okay, how about the Philippines? So if that's the premise, how can people manage their mental health at least for 1 year, dealing with this pandemic, dealing with life, etc., etc.? What is your advice?
Okay, I have a program and it's so easy to remember. It's called Be Tough.
Mm-hmm.
Be Tough. Be tough. So I in a nutshell, let me just tell you some tips that I have
Sure.
given all my audiences, and I'm sharing this because I'm also I'm a mental wellness advocate, and I've been running a lot of programs internally for my organization, and I have what we call a Mind Your Mind campaign. So
Mm.
eventually, as I was talking to you before this, I want to write a book about that. So I'm declaring that now, JP, because I want
Woohoo!
myself to create that
Yes.
book. I'm gonna follow the
Yes.
steps of creating books. Okay.
Yeah.
So number one, B. B stands for breathing exercises. Breathing exercises, just like food, these are essential elements that we need in our body to nourish us. Oxygen is an essential part. People are dying nowadays, and the single breath that they have is so essential. It's like gold to us nowadays. And even
Mm.
wearing the mask, right? I do not like wearing mask, honestly, because it's so hard to breathe, but I do it because I want to protect myself and I want to protect everyone around me. So number one is, if we want to be resilient, if we want to take care of our mental health, number one is breathing technique. Breathe 4 by 4 by 4, meaning 4 seconds breathe in, 4 seconds breathe out for 4 minutes every single day. The
Okay.
reason why we need to do breathing exercises every day, JP, it's because as we get older, we've unlearned the right way of breathing. You mentioned you have kids, right? If you notice when I'm sure as a dad, you see yourself watching your babies when they were still babies when they sleep. When they
Yeah.
sleep, their tummy goes up when they inhale.
Yeah.
Their tummy goes up, and then when they exhale, their tummy goes down. That's the right way because that's the right way of actually inhaling and exhaling. It's not through your lungs or throat.
Yeah.
And the reason why you need this oxygen in your body, it's because our mind, we think too much. We think too much. We're collecting too much um, pictures or thoughts in our mind. We're thinking too much. And as a woman, we have a different way of thinking compared to men. Men are more linear. They can focus more. Women are more like we're talking right now, but
Spaghetti.
I can think about what I can do tomorrow or what will be my schedule. Things like that. The breathing helps us bring oxygen to the brain, which eradicates what we call fog thinking,
Okay.
and
Okay.
that contributes to burnout when you feel so tired, when you are not able to think well or focus or finish a task. And people should do a breathing technique, which is 4 by 4 by 4, being done by the Navy SEALs, actually. Remember, the Navy SEALs have very challenging work or
High
training,
stress, high pressure.
high stress, high pressure, and the 4 by 4 breathing technique is what they do. Four
That's
seconds
right.
inhalation, 4 seconds exhalation, and then for 4 minutes. Number two, embrace change. There are things that you can change. There are things that you can have to accept. And right now, we need to accept right now what's happening. You said that until next year, we miss the things that we used to do, but we have to embrace these changes. People have lost their jobs. That's number one. People have lost loved ones. I've seen on Facebook, Facebook has become more an obituary. I've seen people always talking about their loved ones dying, and I don't see that on newspaper anymore because they're all
Yeah.
on Facebook.
That's
They,
right.
sometimes they even put morbid pictures of their loved ones of yeah, you see that pictures, right? We need to embrace change because if we do not embrace change and eradicate or we're trying to fight the change, then how will we be accepting? If you're familiar with the seven steps to grief. The first one is denial, the second is anger, the third one is bargaining, the fourth one is acceptance, a fourth one is those kind of things. We have
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
ways of managing change and managing grief. Let's One tip I want to tell you, if you're feeling down and you want to complain or you're feeling you want to rant, you are allowed to do so, but only 14 minutes a day. Yon,
Wow.
JP.
Wow.
14 minutes a day because that 14 minutes a day is only the max. If you feel down and then you think, okay, 14 minutes, I should be stop complaining on the 15 minute. You're allowed to do so because at least you're programming your mind to just focus on that for only that's 1/25th of your time in one day. If you have 24
Wow.
hours, that's only. Yeah. Another thing is we talk about thinking inwards. I want also to stress how important meditation is.
Mm.
Meditation is so important for all of us if we're trying to eradicate the negative thoughts that we have and stress that we have. Let's also learn how to meditate. I have an app
Mm.
called Calm. Are you familiar with
Yeah.
this, JP? Yeah, I
Yeah.
use that. I used to pay the annual fee, and now I'm due for renewal. And then every day I put also how my mood is. So it helps me a lot, and that guided meditation helps me. One thing I want to tell you, and for meditation and thinking inwards, it's so essential because our mind is like taking pictures every day. Just like how we reboot our laptops and computers, we need to reboot our mind. And the only
Mm.
way to do that is through meditation and thinking inwards.
That's right.
Okay. Next is also letter where am I now? Letter T, thinking inwards, and letter O is what is letter O again? Let me go back to to
I
what
don't
what
know.
I have written down here. Okay. Okay, yes, okay. Make sure that you're able to create your goals. I think that what I've written down here is so essential that we talked about this. We make sure that we have overall goals. Not
Mm,
let us not stop ourselves from reaching our overall goal for the year. Whether or not this pandemic is gonna stop, let's still continue doing our goals.
mm.
Okay. Another one that I would like you to remember, we also have to reframe. Just like, I have a pair of glasses here. We need to reframe everything. We need to look at things differently. When you wear glasses like this, you look at things differently. When you put that down, you look at it differently. So we always have to reframe the way we look at things so we could be more positive and be more optimistic.
Ganda.
And I think lastly, I would like to say that we need to live in purpose. So meaning if we want to be able to have hope in the next 12 months, let's have a purpose and meaning on how we live our daily life and not just only act like robots and act like zombies just working and doing what is necessary, but we need to live with a purpose, not just working and not just earning money and not just looking for a job, but looking for things that would help us internally. So that in a nutshell is my B tough. I think I need more hours to talk about that next time. But I
I'm
think
I'm so excited to read it in your
nutshell of
book.
what my program is all about. Oops, I think I lost there.
I'm good. You're good. I thank you for just sharing it so fast and being so generous. And I'm so excited to read it on your book. That's something that I'm looking forward to. And for everyone here, Fabi gave you content that's worth thousands of pesos. So you should really repeat this over and over again. And she's giving it for to us for free. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know, Fabi. I pray that your reach, your influence will just grow, not just in your company you're in, but just to businesses in the Philippines. That these are the things every company needs. So I hope it's somehow prophesying that it will reach to them. Thank you so much. Where can they get? Where can people reach you, or how can they connect to you if they have questions, or if you have
Yeah,
a
I'd like
program
to
that you want
invite
to promote?
everyone. I was saying that I used to have a show called Pinoy Kaya Mo Yan. We will come back. I have a page called Pinoy. Okay.
Where can
Hi,
they reach you?
everyone. And for those people who would want to have mental wellness programs, I conduct this kind of programs for free. And if you're interested to reach out to me and if you want help on how we could create and give advice on how you can create a mental wellness program for your own organizations or your own companies, whether it's small or big, I'm here to help. This is my way of helping the Filipinos endure and be more resilient in this challenging times. You can get in touch with me through LinkedIn, Fabi Carino, and then also through Facebook. And we also have a page called Pinoy Kaya Mo Yan. I'm a host there. We've been running that show for also 2 years, and it's all about Filipino empowerment. And hopefully, JP, I could also invite you there, and then learn from you also
I
coming from the
actually gave a
president.
talk. I actually gave a talk there with Rick, Mike Master. They
Ah,
invited me.
oh, okay, okay. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if that's the same one that we had. Was it but nevertheless I still want to invite you there,
sure. I
JP.
would love to. I would love to.
Yeah,
I
let's
would
talk
love
about
to.
the books you've written. And I think nowadays, I'm really happy that you've invited me here because we were reaching out to more audiences in terms of talking about how mental health is. I just want to say in my last few minutes here that please take care of your mental health, because we're focusing too much on how we look like or how our body looks like. Let's also focus on how we are able to take care of our mental well-being, because
Ganda.
that's the way our body is situated. Even our mind is on top of our body, so we should take care and prioritize of our mental wellness. And we don't have to spend so much, because self-care can be done by through our own choices and our own lifestyle, our own way of working. And I guess my number one tip there: learn how to meditate, learn to do breathing exercises, learn to stop learn to stop being an overachiever. For overachievers
Mm.
like me out there, stop it. You need to be focused on other things, because work is not the only thing that should keep you going, but there are other aspects of your life that are more essential. Because no one has ever you've never heard of anyone or never seen anyone in the cemetery that says there that you were the best worker in your lifetime, right? So after
So
all,
beautiful.
right? So when we end up there, we want to leave a legacy that we are more loved by our family, rather than nobody has ever given an award, right, for being the best worker. So I just want to say, try to take care of yourself more. And as Filipinos, we've gone through a lot of trials. Gone through a lot of challenges, and I think that we are now slowly picking up again. I've seen a lot of people working again. It's a lot of people being more resilient, looking for opportunities. If they cannot find opportunities, they're creating it. I want to shout out to all Pinoys out there who are really
Woohoo!
doing their best
Yes,
to
yes.
make their businesses work. I've seen that, JP. I think that you showed your vulnerability, right, one time in your LinkedIn, showing that your business is not doing well, but you are still coping, you're trying. And I think that I want to say kudos to you for being resilient and still striving to do your best despite what's going on. No, and
Thank
having
you.
that hope how it's going to be
Yeah,
better in the future.
yeah.
I want people to remember that it's not yet the end. We need to keep on going. And yeah, so you can reach me through those through the social media, so in case you want some programs to be run for your companies.
Woohoo! Thank you, Fabi. You're such a blessing for everyone. I hope you learn. I'm sure you learned so much, and have hope. That's really my take on this like discussion. Have hope, no matter how hopeless life may be, and we really need it. And just breathe and dame. So, thank you. God bless you, and I'll see you on our next episode. And don't give up. And we have to thrive. We're not just surviving. See you again.
See you.